15 Celebs linked to high-profile murder cases, Part 2.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
9. Steve McQueen. On August 9, 1969, the actress Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring and 3 others were murdered by the Manson family at Tate's and director Roman Polanski's home. The murders were widely publicized because of the famous connections and the cult status that the Manson family was gaining. The information released afterward, however, indicated that the night could have been a whole lot different. When out for dinner with Tate and friends, Sebring had called his good friend, the Hollywood megastar Steve McQueen, and invited him over to Tate's house. McQueen accepted and was apparently ready to go when the lady that he is with asked him to stay home with her, a request that McQueen didn't turn down. McQueen never turned down a request like that. Later, police found a hit list in Manson's possessions that had McQueen's name on it, assumed to be there because he had rejected a screenplay Charles Manson sent him. 10. William S. Burroughs. William S. Burroughs has long been considered one of the great writers of the 20th century. He is largely responsible for starting and popularizing the Beat generation, and his postmodern works are considered some of the most influential ever written. But perhaps the thing many people remember best about Burroughs is that he shot and killed his wife and fled the trial being held in Mexico. It was long known that Burroughs and his wife Joan Vollmer were drug addicts and intense partiers. One evening while partying with some friends above a bar, Burroughs told Vollmer that it's time for our William Tell act, something neither of them had ever done before. Vollmer obliged and put a glass on her head, while Burroughs pulled out his revolver and shot, hitting Vollmer in the head and killing her instantly. The resulting trial was filled with bribes, lies, recanted stories, delays. It ended with Burroughs fleeing Mexico and returning to the United States. He was convicted in absentia and sentenced to 2 years in prison that he never served. 11. O.J. Simpson. We might as well mention the case that everyone has heard about. On June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J.'s wife, and Ronald Goldman were found stabbed to death, having died several hours prior to their discovery. Police also found a bloody glove in the house. When police arrived at O.J.'s house, they noticed a white Ford Bronco with blood in and on it, as well as another bloody glove, the mate to the other glove and the same gloves that were in a picture of O.J. wearing them. O.J. was not at home as he had, suspiciously, flown out the night before. It looked obvious that O.J. was guilty. There was an agreement that O.J. would turn himself in 5 days later, but he never showed up. Instead, his lawyer, Robert Kardashian, read aloud a letter that was seemingly a suicide note. Not long after, the Bronco police chase began and ended in O.J.'s arrest. You know the result. O.J. was acquitted because the glove. 12. Dylan McDermott. When Dylan McDermott was 5 years old, his mother, Diane McDermott, was dating a known gangster, John Sponza. One February morning, Sponza told Dylan to go outside and play. After leaving the house, Dylan heard shouting, and soon after, a gunshot. Diane was killed, though the death was ruled an accident, largely due to a lack of evidence. 5 years after that event, Sponza was found dead in the trunk of a car, so any murder case effectively dried up that day. Years later, however, McDermott asked that the case be reopened and investigated. It was found that Sponza's father was a jailer and Sponza himself was a police informant, and evidence had been covered up. This information helped get Sponza convicted of the murder, and put all the questions McDermott had been holding onto to bed. 13. George Reeves. There have always been questions about George Reeves' death. Was it suicide, or was it murder? The official case was ruled a suicide, though there were 3 bullets fired, only 1 hurt and only 1 hit Reeves. Some say there was no gunpowder on Reeves either, while police said there was no evidence pointing to murder. Some murder theories point to Leander Lemon, who was engaged to Reeves and present in the house at the time of his death. Some stories have her predicting Reeves' suicide when he went upstairs during the party, saying he was depressed and would kill himself before hearing the shot, while other stories claim that she went upstairs and came down after the shot, telling everyone to say that she was downstairs the whole time. Other people blame Toni Mannix, an actress that had an affair with Reeves while she was married to producer Eddie Mannix. The story is that Toni hired a hitman to do the job because she was angry with Reeves for leaving her. Then there are those who say it was Eddie Mannix who hired the hitman. Whatever or whoever it was. 14. Michael Masse. Today, actor Michael Masse might be best known for playing Gustav Fiers, the gentleman, in The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but the role that will forever follow him around is from the 1993 film, The Crow. Though there were no criminal charges laid, the death of actor Brandon Lee from a faulty prop gun was widely publicized and heavily investigated. While everything was very clearly accidental, the poor actor who fired the gun that killed Lee was Masse. Even now, Masse has never gone back and watched the film and has claimed that he still suffers from nightmares from the event, saying, "I don't think you will ever get over something like that." 15. Terrence Howard. In 1971, the Santa Line slaying was a murder case that gained national attention because of where it took place. It was sort of forgotten about until 2005, when actor Terrence Howard revealed that he was there, and it was his father, Tyrone Howard, who was responsible for the death of Jack Fitzpatrick. While waiting in line to sit on Santa's knee, the Howard family was accused of cutting in line. What was said, and what, if any, racial epithets were used here is debated, but an argument between Howard and Fitzpatrick had begun at this point. The argument turned physical, and Fitzpatrick is said to have pinned Howard against the wall by the throat, and began to knee him in the groin. This kneeing opened a previous wound and Howard began to bleed in the groin area. It was then that Howard started stabbing Fitzpatrick in the neck and thighs. Fitzpatrick would fall to the ground, dying from his injuries. Howard served 11 months, and was released on good behavior.